A big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video. Have you ever been somewhere that's amazing, taken some photos and been really excited to get back, then uploaded them into Lightroom and thought, they're not as good as I thought they were going to be? Well, in today's video, what I want to do is talk to you about how you can improve your photography by looking at the photos that didn't work. Good morning, great to see you all again. So I'm about to show you a 5-minute video of a sunset shoot that I did when I was in the Faroes. It was a pretty big hike, but some amazing light that I got. But as you can guess from the video's title, I didn't quite get the shots that I was after. I got some good ones, but some just didn't work as I wanted them to, and that happens all the time. You know, I'm often there with amazing light and an amazing location, but get back into Lightroom and think, they've just not quite worked out. But the important thing is understanding where you failed and how you can improve those things. So I've come up with a sort of 5-point plan that you can follow, which I'll explain after I've showed you this little bit of video in the Faroe Islands. And we'll start with me climbing up the bottom of this mountain. Okay, just started. Ooh, look behind me. It's going to be amazing. So, yep, for anybody thinking, you must have done that twice because your tripod's higher than you, you're correct. And I really nearly didn't do that because I'm absolutely knackered. These hills in the Faroes are steep. I'm nearly at the top. No, I'm not, but I'm telling myself I'm nearly at the top, and then it makes me feel better. I'm effectively hiking the sister of that one behind me. Well, it's not quite as high as that. It's not actually the highest mountain here. It's nowhere near that, really. Anyway, there's no snow on the top of this one, so it must not be very high at all. But it's still going to be pretty good, although, as you can see behind me, the clouds are coming in. So I don't know whether we're going to get a sunset. In fact, I don't know whether I'm going to go to the top or not. I'm just going to have a little rest here, I think, and then see how I feel. I've got loads of time. So, bit of a water, maybe a Kit Kat, and then we'll keep going. Woo. I've not made it to the top, and I'm literally probably 100 metres away. But as you can see, it's probably stopped now, but it's just been snowing. I'm on my own. I don't think I'm going to get much of a better view from the top, and there's a place to take my drone off here, so I'm going to fly my drone down the ridge, which is one of the views I wanted to get in that direction. The main view's over here, and actually the weather's changing all the time now, so I just need to set up, take my time, have something to eat. It's a nice shelter spot here, and yeah, I can just gather my thoughts. I've got an hour here before I have to head down. I'm going to head down way before it goes dark, so that I'm going down in the light as well. And I've told somebody where I am, because when you're in the mountains like this, safety comes first. You've got to be so careful. Wow, look at that behind me. It's pretty good. Yeah, the weather's really coming in, so I may not even stay here an hour. Let's see.
I was about to pack up because I didn't think anything was going to happen, and then it got brighter, and then we just had these most amazing sun rays. Now, I didn't take any video of them, unfortunately, because I was so busy just trying to get some good photos. And now the light's gone in, but trust me, it was spectacular. So I was set up doing a wide angle of these rocks and the snow that had fallen just here, because I thought it just looked quite nice. And then I moved along here and switched to my 24-70 to get some closer in shots and just this diagonal line of the sort of mid-ground. It's cold now, it just snowed so hard. And then I think it's going to snow or maybe snow again. I mean, it's definitely below freezing. It's so cold. But the light seems to have gone now. I guarantee you, just as I go down, there'll be some amazing light. I'm going back down now because, as you can see, just behind that mountain there, the rain or snow is coming, and the weather has really changed. The wind's got up and oh, it's so cold. So I've been coming down for about 20 minutes. It's so hard coming down this mountain. So loose and mossy and slippery. Just gotta be so careful. Okay, I'm gonna keep going.
So what an evening I had on that mountain. It was absolutely fantastic, but I actually wasn't massively happy with the photos that I took. It was fairly manic, it was getting cold. I was a little bit worried because I was up quite a big mountain and I was on my own, so I wanted to be careful about the weather coming in. So I rushed a little bit at the end and I just didn't catch that photo exactly how I wanted to. And I spoke about 4 elements early in the year that I think is important for every image, which is light, composition, subject and timing. And in this particular case, I think a lot of these images had all of those elements, but the thing I think fell down was the composition just wasn't quite as strong as it should have been. And what I wanted to do was sort of go through 5 things that I think you can look at in your photos when they don't work to improve composition. So the first of those is balance. So let's have a look at this photo that I took, which was really quite spectacular. I had this moment of the cloud opening up and the light coming through. So, you know, it had great light. The subject was this mountain, and there was sort of a sub-subject, which was this tiny little church there giving scale. There was, you know, really good timing on this, because I think I got it quite at the right time where the light just came through. But the composition just didn't work, I don't think. And the reason the composition didn't work is that the balance of this image isn't quite right. So you can see on the bottom right hand side of the image there's quite a lot of water, and I feel that doesn't quite balance very well with the mountain. So your eye sort of gets drawn to the bottom right quite a lot. So although this image is nearly right, and I still really like it, don't get me wrong, I still think it's a good image, but I just don't think it's as great as it could be because the balance isn't quite there. I actually think in this image, if I'd been a little bit further to the left, and I know that's really difficult because this is something that happens in time, you've got to get that timing right for that cloud to open up. But if I'd have been further round to the left, I'd have had more mountain and the opening sort of aligned a little bit better and less ocean. And that would have been a more powerful image. So if you take this image, which is a completely different type of image, but it's balanced really well. So the church and the mountain give the scale, the subject's obviously the church, and I feel that your eye's not pulled away into the ocean on the right-hand side because there's balance in the image. So there's balance in light in terms of 2 diagonals, the one leading your eye down to the church and the one of the mountain, which is opposing that other diagonal. And it's balanced a little bit better. And I find that if you don't have balance in an image, then the image isn't as beautiful. Obviously, there's a lot of balance in nature, so you know, if you find a lot of nature has got balance in it from either fractals or symmetry in like things like leaves and trees and other elements. So you want balance in your photograph as well to create something that's just pleasing to look at. So the next element, element number 2, is separation, and making sure that you have separation in your photographs. It's really, really important, this. I've talked about it before. I think it's really important when you're taking trees and in woodland, separating the trunks of the trees. But this image that I took, which was on a different video, the first of the series of Pharaoh videos, was the first image that I took when I got to this location. I really liked it because the foreground was good. It had this raindrops hitting the puddle, and I suppose I was over concentrating on the foreground and forgot that I need to create separation between the waterfall and where the midground hit the waterfall. And when I took the actual final image where I had the other waterfall in as well, I made sure I created that separation. And separation is really important for lots of things. So if you look at your images, you might find that they're not working because you don't have separation, and that separation could be a light church in a dark background, or trunks of trees, or it could be that you've got just a tree, a lone tree on its own, just separated from the background. But if you think about separation and look at your photos, you'll find that that'll massively improve your photography. So the third thing is focus and making sure that you don't have too many distracting elements, really simplicity. So this image, again from the first video that I shot, was an image that just didn't work. I felt, again, it was cold, I was rushing a little bit, but I just think there's no focus to this image. There is a subject because there's a lake there, but because there's lots of distracting elements like the snow and then the rocks aren't very well positioned, your eye doesn't really lead through the image very well because it's not got that simplicity of foreground. Whereas if you look at this image, I know it's a completely different location, but it demonstrates the point really well. There's quite a lot of elements in the foreground, but there's focus and simplicity, so your eye just leads from the foreground into the background of the image. So providing focus for your eye at multiple levels through the image and removing distractions in the image like the snow in this image can make a really big difference to your photograph, and this is why this one didn't work for me. So this is another one from the shoot that I did that evening on the mountain that you've just seen, which I was sort of most disappointed with really, because I felt that I had this amazing light and I really wanted to make the use of this light, and I just couldn't find an angle to make it work. And when I was taking it, I sort of had a feeling it might not work, but I was still fairly hopeful. And I think the reason it doesn't work is because of this fourth thing, which is leading elements. So you need leading elements in your composition that connect bits of the photo together. So in this case, I need to connect the foreground to the background, and it just isn't connected. So even though it's a really nice foreground, it sort of tells a story about this rocky sort of surface I'm on and the snow, so you know it's cold. I don't think it connects the foreground and the background. It's almost like two images, a foreground and a background, because there's no midground that sort of leads your eye through the image. So although it's a nice image, it doesn't work as a great image. Again, this image that I took a few days earlier when I was in the Faroes is exactly the same. Amazing light, really good subject, this lake, but I've not connected and I've not got any leading elements that connect this foreground through the midground to the background, so they don't quite work as an image. Whereas these two other images which I took, which I think work really well for exactly that reason, have strong leading elements. So this one of the waterfall, your eyes led through from this waterfall through the rocks in the midground and right around to that far waterfall. And then this other one here, even though there is probably not as much midground and you do drop off a little bit, there's a connection through the water. So the water connects you through to the water of the ocean, which then connects you through to these mountains in the background. So having leading elements in your images makes such a big difference. And then the final element, the fifth element that I find is good to look at when you're looking at photos that haven't worked is stickiness. So if we look at this image here, I really like this image, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's got stickiness, so I don't think it becomes a great image. It's not something that I'm going to add to my portfolio, because I think you'd look at it and it's that intangible element which is stickiness. I don't think you stay on this image for a long time. You don't uncover new elements to the image. You look at it, you think, yeah, it's grand, it's got some mountains, but there's nothing that portrays scale, there's nothing that gives you that sort of feeling of being there. It's just a nice image and that's it. Whereas a similar type of image to that, where it was very grand and there was some amazing light, was the one that I took in Iceland. And by adding a little bit more space to the image and not zooming in quite as much, I think that this image has got more stickiness, but also there's more elements in the image for your eye to go to. And every time you look at the image, you see something new. And trying to think of images like that and think, are there multiple elements, multiple dimensions to your image, can create a really, really powerful photograph. Okay, I hope that's helped. I hope that those 5 elements of ways you can go and have a look at your photos when they haven't worked will give you something to look at. I'll put those 5 elements up again here so you can write them down, or maybe just watch the video again, because I think it is something that is really useful. I use them all the time and it definitely makes a difference to my photography. Before I go, I wanted to thank Squarespace for sponsoring this video. They've been massively helpful to me, as I've said before. They're a fantastic web solution, and if you're looking to do a website, then I definitely recommend going with Squarespace. I've recently used their app again that I talked about last time to add an offer for Black Friday. I know it's Sunday now, but I don't publish a video on Friday, so I've offered £40 off any prints in my online store, which is something I don't do very often. I don't discount my prints. It's until the end of today, so it's literally till the end of the day, and there's only for the first 25 people that go and order a print. And I think I put this out in my newsletter as well, so I think that around about 10 of those have gone, so there's probably about 15 left. So you can go along and just enter Black Friday. It was really easy for me to do with Squarespace. I could easily create that discount code, and it meant that I could spend more time editing my videos, going out and taking photos, and not worrying about sitting at my desk when I've got a bad back and having to edit my website. So thanks to Squarespace for allowing me to do that. It's a great platform, and if you're interested in trying Squarespace out, then you can go to this link here /Nigel, or use the discount code Nigel for 10% off your first domain or website. So that's it. Actually, before I go, there's one more thing. In my newsletter, I don't know if you subscribe to it, but if you do, you'll have just got it. And I listed 10 things that I think are really good Christmas gift ideas. I'm not going to do a video about it, but I have linked those 10 Christmas ideas in the description below. So if you're struggling for Christmas ideas, for photography things, they're fairly cheap things, then go and have a look. The things that I all use, I think they're massively useful. And if you're not subscribed to my newsletter, then make sure you sign up. I'll put the link for that below as well. Okay, that's it. Until next Sunday, bye.